at the speed of that song's been stuck in my goddamn head for like a week.
Welcome to the H8FUL Show, your online course on internet autism. I am your professor, Hateful Tate. Today's case study is on tune critic Y2K, or Zach Kays, otherwise known as Flame Amigo 619 in the Thomas fag community. After redubbing all of Percy's lines and sticking his dick in the fires of Thomas's engine furnace, he became a member of the Brony Analysis community, a man driven by the desire to be remembered forever, and by the end of his run, he got what he wished for, just not in the way he intended. Our top-hatted attention whore went on to become the personification of the blue pill that the Brony fandom has been ODing on for over the past year now. Now some of you may be saying, hey, this is old news, what could you possibly have to add to this discussion? And others may be saying,
how dare you desire attention! Nobody disrespects the figureheads of this fandom!
just follow me, and I'll set you free from your suffering. Toon always had a legacy of doing degenerate shit, even for a brony. His name constantly being rolled around in the mud by the devotees of the drama denomination, groping women at conventions, ripping off people of their money, and overall being a sexual deviant. But all this paled in comparison to the rock this man left behind to the church in his name. Back in 2017, during the time of our Savior's birthday, our patient zero by the name of British Ninja was looking into a member of Toon's Circle Jerk Skype group, The Domain, that did stuff. Apparently, this person had been unresponsive for a while, so he decided to check in on her. One thing led to another, and she sent him logs that proved
you are, at least what you have done, is pedophilia. You have asked for photos of her in nothing but a leather jacket and panties. You have sent her pictures of your crotch only covered in boxes. You've sent her porn.
By the end of it, our first victim of the blue pill was left with this news to sit on. Following the first principle of inertia, autism cannot be created or destroyed, only transferred. Over the course of 2 months, British passed this baby blue to the people in Toon's circle one by one. By the end, there was roughly 40 people who were now freaking out over this 500 log trip. Some said to cover this up, others said we need to take this to the cops, but the wise man Mr. Fahrenheit said that they should confront Tyler Durden about this over a recorded Skype call so everyone affected could go to rehab afterwards. During this Skype call on January 19th, 2018, he confirmed these accusations and his side of the story by using the following justifications.
No excuses. I was in a bad place and I made bad decisions. And I'm really fucking sorry about all this.
But the crawling that dwelt within this man's skin didn't stop there. Later on in the call, the cunt of personality disclosed the true intentions of ERPing with said minor.
There was a romantic sexting. I found out that she had been lying to me about her age, that she was 17 instead of 21, and that she had every intention on bringing this to the police. Me thought, what the hell are you doing? The other part, though, thought, why is she like this? But then I thought, why am I like this? And why was this okay? And I tried to rationalize, okay, why is this okay to some people? And I wanted to see why it was quote unquote okay for some people to understand. And, that I really should not have done that. I should not have bothered to look into it.
I didn't realize Zach was a gold medal winner in the Special Olympics. Not only did the cops get called on him for ERPing with a minor he allegedly claims lied about her age, this cum stain had to double down by experimenting with another minor to see if it would invoke a child sex response in the boxers of his shorts. But it doesn't stop there. This guy triples down by admitting to his former friends with
almost attempted suicide. Twice, could seriously consider it. I got into a serious fight with one of my local friends, and I almost put them in the hospital. I helped a friend of them out of a bad place. Unfortunately, that involved drugs.
I take it back. Give this man a platinum medal. Not only did he admit to erotic role-playing with a minor and justifying it to sate his pedo-curious fantasies, he also confessed to admitting to other crimes just so everyone in the call would slit their wrists against all the edge that was going on in his life.
I can't do this! I'm fucking done! I'm done!
I don't know about you guys, but I was feeling like doing the same thing after listening to this. Personally, I'm shocked that Toon would be against going to prison. If attention was what he desired, all he had to do was tell his fellow cellmates what he told his friends in the call, and they'd pass him around like a cigarette. It's not like getting his virgin clitoris for a rectum penetrated by another guy is unfamiliar territory to him. With his mentality and sexual preferences, I'm sure he would have been able to cope with this sentence with ease. Now, in this group therapy session, British and Josh stated that everyone that knew about this had prepared their own statements in case this got out, so the two could let flamboyant pedo ego do things his way instead of informing everyone after reporting it to Chicago PD. By January 25th, 2018, both the call and logs were leaked to the public, and the rest was history. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. You can call him out for being a pedophile, drive him out of the community, attempt to remove all traces of his existence, but you can never get rid of the cartoons. So what has our missing man reborn been up to since the whole scandal? Well, much like our cunning cunt, Frostcloud the Divorcer, he cannot let go of the past. According to the second principle of inertia, an autist in motion stays in motion unless acted upon by an outside force. Now, unless said force is a SWAT team knocking down his door, a random gunshot to the face, neck roping himself, or my personal favorite, the Terry A. Davis method.
FBI put kid next to me in DMV to invoke a sex response. I said I would put a gun in his mouth.
This little pissant won't be stopping anytime soon. Zach has been spending these past 15 months desperately weaseling his way into many different communities with an equivalent following of autistic man-children, like the Pokemon and Sonic fandoms.
Earlier today, she mentioned that someone met him back in February.
Yeah, that would be our current Sonic.
Creating an account under the name of Zephyr, our cuck of personal problems wrote Sonic fanfictions on the FBI's new sting operation, Annie Roleplay, since February of 2018. This was around the time where Sega Sister claimed in her Tumblr post back in January of 2019, that same day towards the end of February, I got a call from Zach. I had forgotten he still had my number. I told him I was busy and stepped aside. Then I told Voice immediately. I said to him that I feel like this was the only way I could get closure from this, talking with him directly. He gave me the okay and I continued. This followed with Sega, her now ex-boyfriend Voice of Reason, and other former associates of Zach to meet up with him in a Skype group over the month of March. Around this time, albino Bill Cosby was using a Discord profile that would later be made public around early January 11th, 2019. This account used the aliases such as Live and Learn, Velocity, ... and many others. It wasn't until early July of 2018 that he was brought into a Sonic RPG Discord group, where he wrote as Sonic under his OC Bowen, as well as using a variety of other images to roleplay designed by his cuck boyfriend, Isaac Scholar. A fitting name for a man who's had his ass on a leash while Toon cheated on him with other people. From what I've been told, the server only had 2 minors in it.
Both Methyles and Old Scourge were minors.
Fortunately, Zach didn't seem to get along with any of them, and seemed to be interested in the more mature members within the group, despite the fact that they were role-playing as characters canonically underage.
Well, I knew one he didn't get on with, like, they fought.
He didn't seem too interested in them either. He was mainly interested in, like, Rouge here, our Amy.
Now, in this Sonic RPG group, it was a server intended to write stories, however.
No one wrote anything in terms of, like, writing stories and everything. RPing, all that sort of stuff. That hardly ever happened. Most of what we did, either bantering back and forth in the chat, or as most of it was, on call. These calls lasted, like, hours.
Aside from getting into day-long calls, what was there left for Zach to do?
To be honest with you, something I had pointed out to other members was if you didn't erotic roleplay with him, you weren't on his radar. He only cared about the people he could erotic roleplay with.
That's right. Toon was spending his time doing the same thing that got him into this mess in the first place, ERPing with strangers on the internet. Zach had 2 other Discord servers, one that was intended to take down the owner and the other moderators of the Sonic RPG known as Serenity, and a safe space for Zach to roleplay My Little Pony. In early August, the server imploded on itself, leaving the remainder of its members to vacate to Serenity. Fast forward to August 22nd, 2018, PedoHat DM'd the members of his group his dark backstory with 3 Google Docs. Now these are letters Toon's friends had sent to him after the call back in January. These were saved on separate Google Docs that included DeWilstonator, Lightning Bliss, and Joey Turner respectively. Going into 2019, Toon had joined a Kingdom Hearts server of about 50 members. In there, he made flirtatious advances on some of the members to the point where the owner had to make a rule against this. By March, the server had exploded when Zach left the chat, where he claimed his privacy and identity of his Bolt account and personal information was made public. I wonder how that happened.
I met him on Annie Roleplay. I joined at the end of June. Me and him didn't start talking because I went back and checked, July 1st.
Rouge was a former friend of Pedo with a Top Hat and an admin of the Sonic RPG server. Between early July to September, she had been playing the role of Toon's therapist as well as a shoulder for him to cry on during these trying times. Rouge was one of the two hands responsible for making Zack's private MLP server. She was also one of the admins he intended to take down on his other server, Serenity. What a chivalrous bastard. Played both sides just to make the decision as to where the knife should go that much easier. Their interactions began on Annie Roleplay back in July 1st, 2018, before he was added into the Sonic RPG. July 19th, 2018, Zack states how his former friends were his world, and that the repercussions of his actions gave him PTSD. Yeah, man, that's the guilt calling you from the hole of the noose at the end of the hallway. Walk towards it. A week later, he talks about the rating of their shipping, PG, PG-13, or R. What category does wanting to fuck a robotic version of her with natural tits and pussy fall under? July 31st, 2018. He continues to play the victim card. I wasn't the best friend to them because I let my depression consume me. That right there is a logical inconsistency, because if that were the case, you would have had a close shave against your wrist much sooner. I used them as a means to distract myself from the pain of real life. Besides the uncanny valley of self-awareness there, you did spend your time on and off the computer breaking the law and being a morally ambiguous person to the people you surrounded yourself with, so I don't really see a distinction here. Toon references a tweet by @FioriuraTank posted the day before this conversation. This needs to be said. We as a community of reviewers have allowed he who shall not be named to discourage us. Our content creation rates are down. Our lives are a bit of an impasse with @BronyCon News. No, we need to reclaim that which we have lost. While I admit Toon was responsible for this domino effect, and the majority of the blame should fall on him for what he has done, the rest falls on the analysts who knew about this and for how poorly they handled this situation. If Toon had been outed for any of the numerous heinous acts he had done in the past, this would have definitely softened the fallibility it would have had on everyone else in terms of proxy. Everyone else was suffering because of how the aftershock affected the fandom. This definitely tells a lot about the priorities of the people that Toon had surrounded himself with in the past. August 1st, 2018. Toon gives her his cell number so she could text him. August 27th, 2018. Toon states that he wants to get back into making YouTube videos. Well, I'm all for that. I'll make sure to put the noose emoticon in the comment section of those videos just like everyone else. The following day, Toon claims that he couldn't get any sleep at night because he was haunted by the voices of the people from the call back in January. Let's be honest here. The only voice you heard in that call was Frank Sinatra when you kept talking about doing things
My way.
Around August 31st, Rouge had come across one of his episodes of Tuned In still on YouTube. When telling him this, Zack sent her 3 more episodes he backed up on his Google Drive. I wonder what else could be dwelling in there, as well as a picture of his new OC. When I reached out to her, she was the one who stated that Isaac's Collar was the one who made the new Iron Man Bowen OC. However, this was not the case, as it was commissioned by an artist by the name of Pixel Sugar, whom I was able to confirm with on DMs on Twitter. In a DM conversation that I had with the Looney Turtle, I was able to confirm with him that the furry OC that Toon had been using was artwork he commissioned by an artist by the name of Hikaze back in February of 2017. He was also able to confirm with Vector Brony that he was the one who created the artwork for Toon of the Zephyr OC. September 9th, 2018. Toon plays the damaged goods card by stating how he's a toxic person, great self-awareness by the way, and that he was gonna stay away from Rouge to save her from his edge. Now, for anyone doubting that this isn't Zack Keys, get a load of this. September 15th, 2018. Rouge had sent him money to go to a con. Here's the info on the receipt she gave to me. Skipping forward to December 28th, 2018. Rouge and someone Toon was friendly with back in March of that year, and is now the RPG group's new Sonic. They were discussing about Zack. Even though he seemed regretful of his choices made in the past, his actions spoke otherwise. This is where the decision to seek out the other side of this dilemma, and prepared to get the info on him out to the public. In March of 2019, Rouge went public in a recorded call about Zack's activities, as well as providing a Dropbox of archived logs.
The groups that he had on Annie Roleplay, which is how I got to meet him back in, I believe, early August. He found my Maria Robotnik. I was writing her. I don't write any of the stuff he's interested in, so he actually never wrote with me. He added me on there, got me to apply to the group, and brought me in once I was accepted.
Only 3 days after getting in, the Sonic server imploded on itself. She was then brought into Zach's conquest server Serenity. Now, she wasn't aware of Zach's history, even after she left the group in late August of 2018. This was around the time Toon sent everyone in his new circle about his checkered past. From what she told me, Zach wasn't interested in what she was writing, yet he still DM'd her his edgy backstory the same day as Rouge. It wasn't until December of 2018 she went to FNGR about this information, exposing his FBI beta account, which Anthony has covered in 3 of his videos you can find in the description. Fabula was also the one who recorded the call with Rouge published on her channel before it was mirrored to another.
Silver is someone who's very close to him, who wanted to reach out and talk about his side of things on Fabula's channel. His real name is like Josh. Most of the Sonic server jumped to defend him, so all of them are still very close to him that I know of.
Silver, or not the Josh Scorcher, is a member of Zach's Morality Gimp Force, and is one of his most outspoken defenders. He is also taking up space and processing power on YouTube under the alias of Mighty Jack. Now Josh was a former admin of the Sonic group. He was also the second-hand responsible for making Zach's MLP safe space. He also cattled in a friend of his to roleplay as Fluttershy in this server as well. How degrading. From what Fabula and Rouge had told me in the recorded call, most of the members of the group sided with Silver before it had imploded. Cancer Incarnate states that Zach is a changed man and that people should get the other side of things. Back when the call with Rouge was on Fabula's channel, Shelly D had offered Zach to come on a podcast to do just that. Everything looked good and all was left was to set a date. But ooh! Looks like Zach isn't willing to come forward anymore. Too bad. Josh also made a brief cameo in the chat of FNGR's stream. I wonder how that went.
No, I don't want to go! No! No! No, I don't want to go! God!
It seems that he had bested everyone there without having to get into the call by claiming the moral high ground for defending a pedophile, meaning he was too much of a pussy to make his claim and left.
And I mean, he's just as awful as Zach.
The real reason being there is no other side in this, and if there was, all it would amount to would be
change much because people will just think it's an excuse, and I'm not really going to try to make any excuses because there is no excuse. What else am I really supposed to say?
I hope he's real gentle with you when Zach fucks you over like he always does.
And no matter how many accounts is outed, he'll just make a new one in a different verse.
I have to agree with this statement, to a certain extent. Yes, it is pointless to be calling out Zach for doing these things because those instances between February of 2018 up to now, he did nothing illegal to the best of my knowledge. A few caveats I want to point out is, first of all, what Toon did is not technically pedophilia, but actually hebephilia, defined as someone who is still underage but shows signs of sexual maturity, that age range being 11 to 14. If I'm citing this correctly, the age of consent within the Philippines is 12, and the victim in question was 14 at the time. I'm not insinuating that Zach is an innocent man. In fact, the most damning and gracious region within this situation is the fact that he intended to have sex with her at a con. In my call with Looney the other night, he told me that Toon was seeing a therapist but had no evidence to back up this fact. If I'm mistaken in any way, Zach, please call me out on it. I'm a man who values the proof above anything else. But, I promise you, in the future if someone comes to me with anything incriminating, I will bury you beneath the cell with it. But here's the thing, Toon. Your, well, I've moved on from it so everyone else should too mentality is diluted, to be put most bluntly. People in your old circle are still trying to do the same thing. They will never forget what you did, and rest assured neither I or anyone else watching this will. They don't want you back. You were never really a big name amongst your peers, and all the shit that you had pulled in the past was simply building behind you. You thought your name was big enough for the people closest to you at the time, whether it be your friends or fans, to sweep it under the rug. To anyone still defending Toon, you're idiots. Whether you think there's good in everyone is your ultimate defense, it is not. These logs and Toon's actions in the fandom have showed that he is caught in a violent maelstrom of his own creation. There is no forgiveness for Zach. In my case, I didn't even know the guy. Hell, I didn't even get involved with the fandom until around the time Vita's video on you came out, much less know of your name. I do what I do because I value information and how it needs to be addressed properly. If you have any problems with what I've said, please feel free to comment it or reach out to me on Twitter. My DMs are always open. Stay tuned for a Hateful Tate face reveal in the obituary papers next week.